Hello friends and greetings for the day. Welcome back to another tutorial of our series on software testing bootcamp, where we are talking about the fundamental concepts of software testing. We are in the chapter 4 where we are getting started with test design techniques, and today we'll be covering to the next topic, which is called as 4.2 black box test techniques. In order to continue with this, we'll be talking about several techniques under this category, including many of them which are very common these days to be used at any point of time. In today's tutorial, we'll be looking forward to equivalence partition as the very first technique to get started with. Let's talk about the equivalence partition, which is one of the techniques which is used under the black box testing techniques category. And as we remember, black box testing techniques category makes use of requirements which are given in a very formal way. That means a test team should have access to all that information, what they really need to have as a part of the requirement to understand what is the expectation, what are the details, how exactly a user will interact with the system, what kind of data would be required, and how this information is basically classified. At the same time, when it comes to applying this technique, because this is not the only one technique which can be applied under black box, we are talking about a scenario where you have mathematical ranges. The mathematical ranges certainly means that it could be any kind of ranges where any of the element within a particular range will behave the same. Taking a very simple example, for example, within an organization, a leave can be approved by manager and above. That means I can create one category or one range, partition, class, whatever you call it as, they're all synonyms. So within a particular range, I'll put managers and above in the organization, and another range I'll create which is below manager and everyone else, right? So I just need two partitions to create here and take one test from each partition. That means take one person in manager and above, like take a senior VP who can approve the ticket or approve the leave, and take one more from the second range, which is below manager and everyone else. That is to say that they cannot approve the leave because they cannot see the ticket, or they cannot even if they see the ticket, right? Because they don't have the rights of doing that. So the point here is that we are trying to tell you what exactly equivalence partition as a technique is. So when you come across any such scenario where ranges are available and actions or decisions or outcomes are made based on these partitions or these ranges. Similarly, another quick example to make you understand is assume that we are talking about a particular organization or maybe a company which helps you to book a flight ticket. And they say that the ticket can be booked only on weekdays, but not on weekends. Now, right here is a very simple scenario where I can create two different ranges. One range, Monday to Friday, and second range, Saturday and Sunday. Because Monday to Friday, you can book a ticket, but Saturday, Sunday, you cannot book a ticket. Now, there's no point testing all 7 days, especially to try with 100% testing. There's just simple one concept here that using equivalence partition, they say all the elements of a particular range will behave the same. So no matter I take Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, any one of these, the answer will be the ticket should be booked. So I don't have to try with 5 test cases here. I can take any one of the day and try booking the ticket because the outcome will be correct. On the other hand, when you talk about Saturday, Sunday, again, you have to take any one test which fulfills the criteria that you cannot book the ticket. Don't forget, all these techniques are helpful in reducing your test cases. Otherwise, exhaustive testing is what you are trying. Okay. Similarly, when the scenario becomes more bigger and bigger, you can certainly say that the test cases will be huge, right? You just can't come up with all possible combinations where you think the scenario caters. So you use a technique to reduce your effort. So for an example, if a scenario needs 40 test cases, maybe with help of equivalence partition, you can reduce it to even 4. But everything is getting covered, so your coverage is not compromised, or the confidence what you will have on the product scenario will be equally the same. Let's take some quick examples here and understand how exactly it would look like. All right, here is a quick example. Assume that we are talking about an integer field which shall contain values between and including 1 to 15. That means there is a field on an application which accepts integer, which is between just 1 to 15. That means between 1 and 15, inclusive of both of them. Now, between mathematically says it is inclusive of both the values. Anything beyond this is rejected. That means the field does not accept anything less than 0 or anything greater than 15. Now, in order to test this particular field, I don't have to test all possible integer numbers which are possible. That means I can go to 100, I can go to 200, I can go to minus 200. Integers are everything, right? And there's no point creating 400 test cases to test positive 200 to negative 200, right? So the point here is we'll just create 3 partitions here, namely in the less than 1, which includes 0, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, etc. And 1 to 15, which is my valid range, which my field accepts. And on the right hand side again, one range for anything beyond 15, that is 16 or greater than that. If I just take these 3 tests, that means one test from each of these partition is what my equivalence partition would do to tell me that minimum 3 test cases are required, right? But as per the technique, it says you take 1 test from each partition. But if you think you are dealing with some critical scenario, you have a risk involved in this functionality, you can add more number of test cases too. So the whole concept is when you have a written requirement with you, you apply the technique, convert that into the table, and draw down your test cases with minimum number of it, right? At least 3 test cases would be required here to test this particular scenario. Taking another example, which is slightly a different one, and here we are talking about a taxing system. Assume that in a system designed to work out the taxes to be paid by the employees of an organization, an employee has to pay 4,000 of salary tax-free. Okay, some group of people will not pay any tax. So up to 4,000, you do not have any tax. Okay, that's one group. The next 1,500 is taxed at 10%. Now the word next here means add to the previous value, not to the initial value, which is 1, right? So 1 to 4,000 is my first range where taxes are nil, and 4,001 to 5,500 because we are adding 1,500 to the 4,000, right? So 4,001 to 5,500 is my second range. Again, here the people are taxed at 10%. Next 28,000, that means 28,000 is being added to 5,500 is my third range where I say 5,501 to 33,500 is my third range, and that's where the employees are charged 22%. And any further salary will be taxed at 40%, which is 33,501. Now in this case, if you see, I have 4 partitions and I would need 4 test cases to test this particular scenario instead of coming with number of employees as my test cases or coming up with different salaries which people can have. There could be any number of test cases, and that's what you call it as exhaustive testing, right? I hope it's making sense and adding more value. Let's take one more example, which is slightly a concatenation of 2 or more conditions, right? Sometime you may experience a requirement where you can have more than one particular classification provided, right? So look at this scenario. Here they say that a daily radiation recorder for the plant produces a sunshine score based on a combination of the number of hours a plant is exposed to the sun, that is below 3, 3 to 6, and above 6, and the average intensity of the sunshine, which includes 4 parameters, very low, low, medium, and high. Now, if I just have to test this particular scenario, how many test cases would I need? So let's apply the equivalence partition, but before that, let's list down the classes and their classification, right? So the very first thing is one classification is exposure to sun, and here we have 3 partitions, 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 and more. And the second classification is intensity, and there are 4 classes, very low, low, medium, and high. Now you can use any combinations to come up with the minimum number of test cases, but even if you try, you will have at least 4 test cases required here to cover the scenario as per equivalence partition. So the test one will cover 0.5, which is in my first range of exposure to sun, and intensity being covered as high. So if you see here, 0 to 3 range is covered in parallel with high as the intensity, right? So these 2 items are covered with my one test. The second test is 4.5, getting into the second range of sunshine, that is 3 to 6, and intensity is medium, so medium is also covered now. T3 5.5, which is again falling in the same range of sunshine, that is 3 to 6, but this time the intensity is being covered as low. right? And the fourth one, of course, required is 7.0, which is covering the 6 and more, and the intensity is very low. Now, many of you think, or you may get confused, stating that why did we take 4.5 and 5.5 twice within the same range? It was just to fulfill the need of intensity, because we have 4 intensity classes here, and we have to cover at least one for each, right? Now, in order to cover that 4, where sun is only 3 ranges, we have to take one extra value to support it, right? So we just took that because of covering the sun intensity of the sunshine, right? I hope this pretty much gives you all the understanding what you need in terms of equivalence partitioning. If you need more help, you'll find some great videos in the description. Just click on that. I have got some of the questions from the certifications of ISTQB to check your own abilities to solve them, and try looking at that to get more confidence on this technique. So that's all from this particular tutorial, team. Should you have anything else, feel free to comment below. I'm always there to address your queries and answer them well. Till then, keep learning, keep exploring, keep understanding the context. Thanks for watching the video, team, and happy learning.